What you watching, love? What are they playing with? Wool.
We're going to start backwards here, start with position K. Give each candidate 3 minutes to do an introduction, and please include your platform.
Siam and Estella Siam. Statif Lum Sunasnat. My English name is Alvin Colty. I come from Crab Bay Longhouse. I belong to the Smokehouse family. I learned how to pray in a sweat lodge. It made me want to learn our culture here more, our way, our Shalana. And there it goes. I was going to use my Smokehouse voice. But, one of the first things I want to touch on is our treaty, preserving and protecting our treaty. I think that's very important, and our sovereignty, to practice it more. We're a sovereign nation, and we have a lot of natives capable of doing a lot of the jobs out here. And I think it's important to touch on that. And of course, there's our Constitution. The treatment of the cultural sensitivity towards our employees, whether it's here at LIBC, up at the casino, and I think
also, I just want to, continue helping our people. I've been active in numerous different things with our people, whether it's recovery or our funerals. Working for Command Squad, I want to put my hands up to Command Squad. They do so much for the people. And whenever it seems somebody needs something, they turn to Commands, and I'm thankful to be a part of their crew. You know, we're one family. And as a nation, as a Lummi nation,
I think unity is important out here. We're all in this one building right here, but sometimes, from what I've heard, is that we could be distant. You know, we come from clans. You know, where we all live together. We all were one. And I just want to go back to our shebang. You know, we do that when we come together in the wintertime. We live in our smokehouse together. All families, kids, growing up together. And that's who we are. And, you know, wellness is important. And of course, our elders, education, our children. You know, there's so much that I feel that sometimes maybe missing. I don't want to overlook nothing. How much time did you say we had? Okay, and you know, I was sharing with my cousin today and about empowering our people. You know, I heard this speaker say in a recovery meeting, he said, this table's full of recovery. This table's full of recovery. And it's up to me to come feed from this table. And I changed that into, there's a table full of medicine for me somewhere, whether it's a sweat lodge, whether it's a smokehouse, whether it's a meeting, whether it's church. There's help everywhere. And I'm hoping our people could find that balance, that wellness. Osiem and Haishkasiam on the Stalachasiam.
Haishka, Chiliatin, Sonasnap, Clifford Culty, I want to thank each and every one of you that are here today. Also want to thank the ones that are, all of the candidates that ran this year, and the ones that made it to the general election. I want to thank our general council for getting out there and voting. Also want to acknowledge our ancestors and our leaders that got us to where we're at today. The ones that gave us the tools and had the vision to be able to start self-governance. That's very important. You know, when you're on council, that's given that you got to get up there and fight for treaty rights, for health, education, natural resources, and within that, you know, the elders, the children, the ones that are in ICW, the single parents that are struggling to bring home a decent check so they can provide for their families. You know, there's a lot of tools that we have here at Lummi. We have a lot of things in place. We have the Title 28, the Budget and Finance Code helps guide us. I think we've strayed a little bit on how we come up with a balanced budget. I remember years ago, as being on Natural Resources Commission for 7 years, learning how the co-management system works, how you deal with the state and the issues and the intertribal issues. But also within each of those CBCs, there's a budget representative, and luckily I was able to sit at that table with the budget committee for a number of years. They would go through binders and binders of books and had all the work plans in there, and what the department's missions were, all the line items. You have to know what all of those line item means. We have a casino that helps revenue, or it's a revenue source, and we've been relying on that too much. We have our cigarette tax, our fuel tax, and doesn't seem like there's any new revenue streams. Our tribe is growing. The needs are growing. How are we going to take care of our people? How are we going to repair roofs? How are we going to provide these necessary things to our people? But, you know, if you take from an area, if you're flatlined on your budget, you take from an area, another thing is going to suffer. So that has to be thought out very well. Where are we going to be down the road if we're not creating revenue streams or create jobs where people can go out and provide for their family. It has to go hand in hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff and Elvin. Timothy Belize Sr. I come from the Swan clan from the female side, the Eagle clan from our father's side. My platform, I think it's very basic, it's very simple. My platform is our past leaders who worked for the community without a pay. They got us to where we're at today. Is our council doing good for us today? I think so, but I truly believe they can do more with pay. You know, they're employees, they get paid. The thing I don't see is communication. I don't see communication into the general council. We do not know what's going on. I really, it kind of saddens my heart to not know what the council's doing, what administration's doing. When we speak of our issues that we read about from our council, say the health crisis, I asked them, is there a plan? And they say, there's a plan. And I said, what's the plan? I want to know what the plan is. I was corrected last debate forum. I said there was 800 employees. The employee said there's 1,000. 1,000 people should be able to come up with a plan, implement it, and start working on the well-being of our people, our families, our brothers and sisters. Is it happening? I don't know. I don't know if there's a plan. I want to get on council. I need support to help you guys, listen to you guys, and let you know what we're doing. More importantly, what we're not doing. You know, we need to communicate with general council. All these questions that have come forward to this table, I truly believe the sitting council needs to review them, go through them, and say, how can I evaluate our council today? That's what they should do. It shouldn't be just these people sitting in front of you tonight. These people are paid to do this. Are they doing it? I don't know. You know, so I'm running on the past leaders, their strong will, their power, the gift they possess, and that courage they always took place when they sat in front of their people. They weren't afraid of general council. They were able to go out and speak to you guys and listen to you guys. It's really basic. I truly believe that. I think that we're turning into the European process. Our Native Americans, our families. We're family here at Lummi. We forget that. I'm sorry, but you know, I'm just telling you what I feel, what I see, what I witness. And I know you guys witnessed this as well. We come from great people. Remember that. We have to remember we come from great people. If we weren't great, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be the people we are today. We're Lactamish. We're not Lummi. You know, we always say we're Lummi. Do the history of what Lactamish is. Please investigate this. We need to change the code of laws to make us true sovereign people. He mentions Title 28. We can change that for you guys. The General Council can change that. It's the council that's stopping you guys. I truly believe that. We need to empower the General Council. But that's me tonight. That's what I feel. So you guys have power more than the council. Thank you.
Asia, Nishtalaja Siatlak Tanasnat, Hajka Konasanat Tachel Siam. Dear friends, relatives, my name is Siatlak. My name is Lawrence, or Happy Solomon. I'm the nation's secretary, a veteran, a teacher, a skipper, a student, a brother, an uncle, a father, and a husband. I want to thank you all for being here this evening. I'm the incumbent for position J. I'm the son of Victor Solomon and Joyce Wall. My grandparents are Stanford and Marjorie Solomon, Lawrence Tom and Catherine Tom. My great-grandparents are Damien Solomon and Edith Lane, Charles Wilson and Sarah James, Tommy Tom and Delphine Hilaire, Lincoln Scott and Helen Lawrence. Just a short introduction. I want to, this time I'd like to, I'm just really thankful for Joe Combs, my cousin Joe, for, it takes lots of courage to get in front of the people and to actually run for council, and I want to, at this time, just acknowledge that. I want to thank the Commod Squad today. Can we give them a round of applause, please? I also want to thank our elders. Thanking each and every one of you for being here. This night is very important. And I also would like to take this time to thank the Lummi Nation. Thank you, the Lummi Nation. Thank you for this opportunity to serve. Thank you, Lummi Nation. And I'm still just so happy. Vote for happy.
Aishka CM, Sotsam Sanasnat, Victor Johnson, everyone knows me as Turtle. Thank you guys for that introduction. You guys did a really good job. There's a lot to follow up on. I'm the incumbent for position I. I've worked on natural resources for the last 18 years. I've worked with a team of teams. I don't really want to take anything from everyone that's in the teams that I work on and say that it's mine, because I can't say that I have done everything on my own, but I have been on a team of teams that works in natural resources that basically working on hatcheries, the wetland mitigation bank, water resources, this last year, I've been fortunate enough to sit on the LCC board and also move forward with development of I-5. And just like Cliff was saying, we needed to have another source of revenue coming in for the tribe. And that was, if you drive by it right now, you can see that they're starting to work on that. And because of the team that was put together to set that up, I was a part of that, and basically spent a lot of time getting permits and doing all of that work that helped get that started. So I'm pretty excited about that. And hopefully we get some more jobs and some more development going on up there at I-5. I also have been working with the construction company that's working on the ball fields. And we got the ball fields moving along, and hopefully we'll have those open up by springtime. It's pretty exciting. I don't want to take too much time. Hi, Shka, everyone. It's good to see you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kathy Pierre. I'm the daughter of the late Enos Pierre and Betty Fair Pierre. Many of you know me. I've been a commercial fisherwoman all my life until the disaster that we declared back in 2000, and I think it was 7. I went back to school, got my degree, and then continued and went on and worked on my master's degree. But then since then, I came to work for the tribe, and I've worked for Lummi ever since I graduated. Started off at Northwest Indian College and did a lot of workforce training there. I currently work for, I'm actually the director for workforce development now, but I just wanted to bring up some of the things that I would like to really move forward for our tribe. One of the things that we always forget about is land acquisition. We have, you look around us and you can see the diminishing land that Lummi has because there's a lot of land for sale, but we don't set the budget aside to buy it back. And that really hits home for me because when we talk about our next generation, where are they going to live if we don't have the land to build homes for them? And what are we going to do about the natural resources that the folks that get the water permits, they're using up our natural resources. And so one of the things that, and that goes along with budgeting, that goes along with us setting aside those monies so that we can invest back in our community. One of the other things that is really important to me, and I've learned this, it's not that I've just come up with this idea, it's because I sat back and watched and I learned from our elders and listened to what they told us. You know, we have to protect our children and our resources for our generations, otherwise who's going to fight for them? I also like to talk about addressing some of the disparities. I learned by watching the best practices, and I did a lifeline that helped me identify some of the ruptures in our services. And from that, I started applying for grants. And we just recently got a grant award from Administration for Native Americans for $1.14 million that will help address our disparities for our young people that are falling through the cracks. And it's going to provide services for them to help get them and build them back up and give them an opportunity to explore career opportunities. The other thing that I really want to make sure I touch base on, and it was mentioned, is the transparency to our general counsel. That is so important because I think this past couple of years I have seen that we don't have general council meetings anymore. We don't even get a chance to let the council know what is on our minds. They never schedule the meetings, they keep getting rescheduled, and I know that, you know, things happen in our community, but I just don't think that should be acceptable because how else do your concerns get brought forward? With that, I don't want to stop talking, I'm just getting started. Anyway, thank you, Haishka.
OCM, Stelchisiam, Johnny Day Felix, grandparents, my grandparents, Francis Fair Tom, my grandfather is Clarence Tom, and my mother is Melvina Tom. Man, I just got nervous for some reason. Anyway, my grandmother Janie Felix is 91 years old. And my grandfather Ismael Sr. Felix, and my father Alfonso Felix. So my platform is, I've been a commercial fisherman my whole life, and will die being a commercial fisherman. I think a lot of people know me as being a fisherman, and that's who I always will be. And I think I bring a lot to the table by being a fisherman. But I think a lot of things for Lummi and what we've been working on the last few years is not really expanding our UNA, but actually utilizing. Finally, you get to utilize all our UNA. We're in a dispute right now with other tribes. They think we don't have UNA within certain areas. But I think once we expand our UNA and show that we have UNA in these other areas, it's going to help our fishermen, diversify in other areas. Then it's like Turtle was talking about. We all are on certain teams, and Turtle has been helping a lot. But we're almost done with Title 10, and I believe that's what council's about. Is about our codes and our policies, and this is who we're supposed to. This is what council. Some of our jobs are to do is to make sure that we help with these codes and economic development. Same difference, I sit on the LCC board. I've sit on the LCC board now for the last maybe 4 or 5 years. You know, there's a lot of work that we did, and there's a lot of work to keep going forward with. Law and justice, you know, I believe that we really need to, and we've been doing a good job lately, is to, I keep watching that 30 seconds, but doing a good job of restorative justice. How do we, you know, because throwing people in jail doesn't work. You know, so we have to look at different opportunities to help our people to learn and to respect and kind of go back to some traditional ways of doing things on a restorative justice way. Thank you.
OCM, Nostalgia, CM. My name is Lisa Wilson. I'm the daughter of the late Rusty Wilson and the granddaughter of the late Sarah James. I grew up fishing with my dad the year before the Judge Bolt decision. My dad instilled in me how important that decision was to our tribe. I grew up fishing. That's what provided my school clothes for me. I was a teenage mother. I was a single parent. I was one of the first tribal members to get through the scholarship at ConocoPhillips. I worked at Conoco for a year, was not who I was. I came back to the Northwest Indian College. I got on TANF. I used voc rehab. I went to the Northwest Indian College. I used Lummi Higher Ed. Once I got into the college, I learned about Billy Frank Jr., and it lit me up like you wouldn't believe. And I've been lit ever since. I went back and learned our history. I created a documentary of the fishing history of the Lummi people, and that's what drives me. That's what keeps me up at night, knowing that our treaty rights are at risk, and it's not anything to take lightly. It's not a half-time job, it's a full-time job with focus. And that's why I'm here, because I know the importance. I live it day by day, day after day. I'm on the front lines, knowing that we keep giving up because we're not paying attention and being the leaders that we need to be. I've got my mentor is G.I. James. Before him was the late Randy Kenley Sr. And, you know, seeds have been planted, and that work needs to carry on. We need to remember where we come from in order to know where we're going. And so, you know, that is definitely something that keeps me awake. My platform definitely is, you know, treaty rights, natural resources. I've been working for the last 5 years to get back our hatchery production that has, you know, gone way down. I've also been working on to get Area 9 back, which we haven't fished there in 30 years, and it's not right. And so learning how to negotiate, how to build those relationships with the other tribes of what we're losing. And also, I feel that there's just so much fear from our leaders, and it's an us and them, and it's not. It's not an us and them. You know, we gotta go back to where we come from. I was listening to Jimmy Wilson before I came here, and what stuck in with me is a little bit of love goes a long way, and we're losing that love because we're losing who we are. And so that's exactly why I'm here, you know, and I know that with my passion, it'll carry forward to whatever I go in. As far as in the council, I'll carry that in all the areas that I work in. So thank you.
Are we done?
Shelley Julius? And I put the question because
I want to give them something to answer to.
I didn't have good luck with that last time, and it ain't working again, so I'm not even going to try using it. Well, you know, as we heard, there's over 262 kids off reservation. And I really think our grandparents committee needs support. Sovereign people, we need to utilize that more. We have people capable of doing these jobs. You know, we've heard it all throughout the table. But I think we need to support each other. We need to empower each other. There's so many hoops that our people have to jump through. And I heard an elder say we're doing what the white man wants us to do, and that's fight with each other. We need to be more unified. We need to take care of each other. That's who we are. Some of this stuff we don't even know about, we don't even hear about. You might get a letter in the mail, or you might get a phone call, a missed phone call that you were asked to help take care of a loved one's child. We don't go out and visit each other no more. It's all done over email. I respect the grandparents committee. I respect our programs out here. But I think we need to quit being victims and be victors. We need to empower our people more. Our people are battling. We need to be more welcoming to our people. When they walk through these doors, sometimes they're mistreated, sometimes they're belittled. And it's hard enough just walking through doors for people. Professionalism, loving these things, loving these children. We need to work with our addicts, because a lot of these parents are from addictive families. Trauma, healing, and wellness is very important. I heard a man say, don't just get sober, get well. We can't give up. Ocean.
Thank you for that question. Thank you, Alvin. From my past experience being on the tribal council for 6 years, from 2010 to 2016, this has always been an area that we struggled in to help work on these issues, come up with solutions. But I think kind of where we missed the opportunity to really help, to really have an impact, is a prevention plan. Let's come up with a sound prevention plan that helps the parents so the child is not in that situation. What are those things that the child or the parents need so they can provide a safe home for their child? They need a job. They need food, good nutrition. One of the reasons why I didn't run for re-election in 2016 was because we were almost in that same situation with our grandson. So we had to make a choice together so one of us could stay home and take care of our grandson. And now he's 5 years old and he's doing fine. His parents are doing better. They're making progress. They're moving forward, overcoming. So I think I would start with a prevention plan and then see where we're at within the court systems. How many cases do we have open? How many cases are being closed? And what are those barriers that they're experiencing? That one year I was vice chairman, I was working with the courts, and that's when the strategy team came up with, let's form a grandparents committee to help oversee this, help come up with solutions. That helped a lot. And it takes a village to raise a child at times, right? Can't do it on our own. Do we still do that yet? I think we do. There's a lot of grandparents that we've talked to that are taking care of the grandchildren because their children are struggling. We love them. And we have to help nurture them, help give them guidance to move forward. And then once that's done, and then it's going to take resources. Have to move money around to be able to do this, to accomplish this. Right? It's not about the money. It's about the families, about the children, making sure that they have a safe place, making sure that they grow up in a healthy way, make sure they don't have mental issues going down the road. That's a big area that's just starting to come to the surface, mental health. We know that we had generations of trauma. We can't give up. Thank you.
Children's Services not following the law.
Same question, Julie, for me?
No, sorry.
When are you?
It doesn't reach up here.
When are you going to raise the LIBC wage for employees? People are still trying to pay expensive bills. $10 an hour equals 8 net gross.
So growing up in the old fishing village, we never had to worry about wage or the money. We were family back then. Today, when I was on council, we used to get $30 million a year during the demo project. Now, what do we get? $150 million a year? We really need to change Title 28. We need to change the purpose. Council listens to attorneys more. They should tell the attorneys what we need. The attorneys shouldn't be telling council what we need. We rely on attorneys too much. They don't understand who Lummi is. They don't understand sovereignty, what it is. We have that power to change Title 28. We can change the purpose of Title 28 and really change the wage here at Lummi Indian Business Council. What we really need to do is develop a plan so we can have one person working in the family where the mother or father stays home with their children to raise their children the way we were raised not long ago. We were family back then. Now we have two people working in a household to try to survive. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. It's our directors holding you guys back on wages. They want the money for themselves. They want their programs run. Title 28 needs to be changed. The purpose, that's all you need to do is change the purpose. The 150 money is your guys' money, not the council's money. They say it's theirs, they say it's for the people, but is it? Ask yourselves, you people that work here, who gets benefits from the 150 money? The general fund. Is it non-Indian employees or Native Americans? We need to think about these things. I truly believe to change the wages, we need to change Title 28. We can do it. council's here to, yeah, take that recommendation, but for the future, we need to change Title 28. I truly believe that. And we need to have one of our members in a household stay home with the children to cultivate them to who they are and give them that pride and power of Lactamish people. I'm not saying I'm being prejudiced right now, but we need to think of the future. If we're not thinking of the future today, and if we're not going to change Title 28, we're going to be saying this same thing 2 years, 3 years from now. What about the wages? We can do this. You guys can do this. The sitting council should be listening to these questions and say, we need to do this. If they're not thinking about it or going to try to attempt to do it, why are they there? Are they there for the pay? Are they there for a position? They're not a symbol, they're a human being. They're a Lummi member. Let's make them change. I truly believe that the sitting council needs to think about these questions. These are their questions, not our questions. Sorry, but I'm kind of getting emotional. I'm upset that these things aren't happening. Our past leaders wouldn't stand for this. Uncle Sam, Mary Jones, William Lane, they're there for the people. It seems like they're there for themselves, for that golf course up there. Oh my goodness. I feel sorry for you guys. Happy's going to solve the problem.
Thank you, Tim. So the question again? Wages. When? Tomorrow. Hey. So that's a good question, and I'm really glad you asked because it's something that we need to be concerned about, and we are. We are. One of the things that we were working on just this week, we were discussing in council, and we could do it this year. If that's what we want, we could do it this year. We got to do it together. We could do it this year. And I hear you. You know, after I got out of the military, there was lots of things, you know, that I was used to. But you know, there's all the child care. You know, child care is hard for our families. It's hard on one income because I was a student at the time. We had bills, all of our bills, and our cell phones, our mortgage, or our rent. So this year, one of my plans to do this year, and I was just having a discussion with our treasurer yesterday, and I'm really glad this question came up because you know, if this is something our people really want, this is something I really want to do. And this is so today, this year, the minimum wage is $12, and $12 you can't make ends meet with $12 an hour. And next year it goes up to $13.50. $13.50, even that's still tough. That's still hard. You have to work hard. But so at that time, I worked 2 jobs, and that's, you know, to provide for my little family. I worked 2 jobs for that whole first year my daughter was born, but that's not the answer. You know, I was working myself to death. And when are we going to raise the wages? I would do it tomorrow. But, you know, the budgeting process, I really want to advocate this year to raise the wages for the LIBC employees and also the Lummi Commercial Company employees. So this year, Hajj Kasiyan.
The goal of our tribe was to get our people educated. We now have a large number of our tribal members with 4-year degrees, master degrees, and even a doctorate degree. What are we doing to hire these people into lead manager jobs? Some of our people that have degrees are having a hard time finding a job. So I want to know what we can do to get our people into lead positions to replace some of the outsiders and the Winningtons that hold manager positions in our tribe.
Aishka, that's a great question. And a lot of the questions this evening, a lot of it deals with Title 28. And it's basically what do we want to do as the people to put into our budgets, and how we what we have in natural resources is a lot of succession planning. And a lot of people that are getting ready to retire, we have people that are identified within the departments to come in and start learning and shadowing the people that are getting ready to retire. Been fortunate enough to do some of that, but also we need to have another way of getting people identified in the community that have the right degree to come in and also start having them shadow within the departments that they want to actually go through. I think we definitely need to start some internship programs that while they're going to school, that we can help them get better acquainted with how tribal law is. It's not the same as the non-tribal laws, and definitely start putting it in the budget. I think we need to have our managers and directors start putting everything in the budget to start moving into that direction. Aishka.
I definitely think that, I can't remember or recall how many years ago, but we used to have the challenge process in our HR manual. And I think today, more so it applies because we do have a lot more educated tribal people that could definitely challenge some of these non-tribal jobs. With that said, though, it does go along with a lot of planning and the succession planning that was spoke about. And it does go hand in hand with budgeting for it, because if you're going to have 2 people, 1 person mentoring into a position, you have to have the money in your budget to also compensate that person. But the other avenue is to create apprenticeships. Now, more so today, there's apprenticeships in all different types of departments that are created outside of construction trades. And that's one of the things I'm actually working on with workforce development. I'm creating apprenticeships in healthcare, in behavior health, in IT, and natural resources. Those are all avenues to help create career pathways for people that want to try out. They can work through an apprenticeship and see, okay, this is the kind of job I want to pursue, and it's aligned with their education plan. Those are a couple of ways to do that. But I also think that it's important to recognize we have to start teaching our youth at a younger age about career planning and talking to them and making sure that they're prepared and they think about real life jobs. We heard about internships, and I know through our summer youth, they have a very limited amount of time to explore careers, and I really think we need to invest more in that for our youth and diversify and create opportunities throughout the school year so that some of those older kids, before they graduate high school, are being able to come here after school and shadow someone. But we don't have that system set up, and I really would like to support setting that system up, because we have a lot of educated tribal members here today that would love to be the mentors of those youth. And so creating those opportunities at an earlier age and opening opportunities for them, I think will go a long way with developing career pathways and long-term sustainable jobs for our people. Let's see. So when we talk about the number of jobs too, the other thing is that Lummi can't sustain all the people. We don't have all the employment opportunities for them. So the other thing is building partnerships with the outside employers and getting our kids ready to work on the outside. Because a lot of our folks also, one of the barriers is they don't like to work off the reservation. And so we are a sovereign nation. We need to reach out to those employers out there and say, you know, we have a trained workforce willing to come to work with you. You just need to help us help you. Aishka. Can I answer your question?
Thank you. So my question is, what is your stance on the use of marijuana medicinally or recreationally? Do you think Lummi should sell marijuana for medicinal use or recreational use? Thank you.
Yes. Would sell marijuana?
Should.
I was wondering when this question was going to come up. Right now, Council's passed a motion to at least legalize or decriminalize marijuana. Sorry, and but as a personal preference, I think as a medical use, I could see that. You know, I had a few injuries done to myself a few years ago, and you know, people keep telling me, "Hey, you should try." The lotion, you know, the oils on your leg, on your knee and stuff. And I haven't went and did that yet, because I'm still like, You know, this year I got kind of funny because I got randomly tested twice within 3 months for drug testing for LIBC. But I think it's, you know, on the hard part is how do you get past the everything that the federal, you know, because we're a federal tribe, you know, we're recognized and it's not passed through federal law, it's just state. So, you know, how's housing going to handle it? How is, you know, the other programs within the administration going to handle? So I think there is a lot of talk, I think, within council, how we're going to be able to handle situations if we make it legal, you know. But as for medical use, you know, personally, I think yes. As recreational, that's going to have to have a deeper discussion with the community, but also educating people on, you know, especially the people with housing. You know, what's that going to look like if you have to get a drug test and you pass and you fail? And you know, do we want to kick our people out of their homes? No, we don't want to. But under federal law and under HUD standards, would have to. So I think it's a good question, and it's a difficult question because council's been talking about this now for, you know, since the legalizing of marijuana. And you know, I think if you talk about Lummi, you know, selling marijuana, I think we're behind the 8 ball on that. And I think it's going to be a lot difficult to try to get in if it's more for financially used for the tribe, another source of revenue. It's going to be a little bit difficult to behind the 8 ball. I mean, there's other tribes that did it right away that prospered off of it. So, you know, we don't have, you can't, you know, we don't sell alcohol on the reservation. You know, we sell it on the bounds of the reservation. So, I mean, so I'm just talking about personally myself. You know, I don't know if we would legalize it as a recreational stance. Well, personally, I wouldn't legalize it. So that's my personal stance.
So this question has been on the forefront for a while now, and I know that, you know, there are a lot of people that are pushing for it, and I'm not exactly sure where we are at. I know that there was some meetings, or there was a meeting that happened, and, you know, I think that we would have to take a lot better look at it. And you know, I know that it's been talked about a lot. There's, you know, a lot of pros and a lot of cons. You know, there's a lot of different opinions on it. You know, and you know, personally, you know, I'm not a marijuana advocate, but you know, if it was a community census, you know, because I think that's the biggest part, is that, you know, the community's not feeling heard, you know, and I think that they feel like the council's not listening to them. And I think, you know, a lot of people are thinking that we're missing big opportunities, you know, that Lummi can't be on the forefront of this, and, you know, Lummi can't do this and that. And, you know, there's, like I said, there's a lot of different opinions on it. And, you know, if it helps people, look, there's lots of research out there, you know, that, you know, people talk about that it does help them. And if that's, you know, their personal choice, you know, I respect that. But I think what it's going to take is, you know, the community census. You know, let's talk about it. Let's get it on the forefront. Let's not keep pushing it forward and forward. You know, let's deal with it one way or the other. Let's, you know, agree, or, you know, let's have a vote. Let's take you know, let's do whatever we need to do, you know, to feel out, you know, people's opinions and go forward on that, of, you know, what the consensuses are of the tribe. You know, we definitely, you know, could use the revenue. We keep talking about we need revenue, but then again, you know, there are lots of issues. We have a big drug problem, and so, you know, I can't say one way or the other, because if it helps somebody, you know, then good for them. But, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't know. I would have to research it further. I couldn't say yes or no at this point. Thank you.
Who do I get to address? Okay. So why does it take an act of Congress to get anything done, signed, or processed? What would you do to change?
Well, that's what I was speaking on earlier, the unity and how and I hate to say it this way, sometimes we do what the white man wants us to do, and that's be divided and fight with each other. You know, some years back, I was working at the Journey to Wellness Center over here, and the late Randy Kinley approached me and John Jefferson, and we did a wraparound. We did an intervention on some people that he cared about. And he wanted this to keep going. He wanted this to keep going for the people. He goes, not because it's me, not because it's these ones I'm working with. He wanted it for future generations. And I shared with Connie, his sister, that I'd like to do a wraparound program in honor of Randy for all he's done for our people. But I don't understand why it is so hard to get things done. As I was sitting at the Journey to Wellness Center, doing meetings after meetings after meetings with people, recovery meetings, so many families, mothers, single mothers that lost their kids to the system, had to jump through so many hoops. You know, we need more advocates. We need more people volunteering, not working for a paycheck, but working for the Spirit. You know, and because we can't give God back, the Creator, whatever He is to you, whoever, a greater power greater than yourself. We can't give no material or financial thing back to God. We can only give of our flesh. And are we doing that? Are we doing that? Are we just treating people bad that come walking through the doors? Are we putting them on the back burner? You know, it's important to honor what we're here for. You know, who are we working for? Are we working for the is it a pride thing? Are we honoring our people? Are we honoring our ancestors as we heard of? So many of our ancestors. Lummi was a great nation, and we still are. We're a great nation, and we need to continue. We need to empower each other. You know, some of the things I heard this evening, empowering is a big thing, along with the wages. Let people get what they're worth. Make them feel what they're worth. Let's not give them. The first week I started working at Commodity Foods, I came to council to ask for a raise for my woodcutters. But I appreciate the question. Thank you.
Well, the question was, why does it take an act of Congress to get things done around here? Get anything signed, get anything done? Okay. Here at Lummi. All right, I almost went down that path of the House of Representatives and the senators in Washington, D.C. when we were talking about Congress. But this here, about how it affects Lummi. I think what's happening, well, I know what's happening is there's this struggle and this imbalance that's happening between a general counsel and the council and the departments, the programs, services. Maybe the policies aren't right or correct, that maybe they're not meeting the needs of today. They might have been working 10 years ago. They might not be addressing those issues now. And that's what we collectively can do, is change codes. We have 41 codes of law here at Lummi. We have policies, how we implement. Those can be all done. My wife's been writing policies, doing some work for the tribe for the last few years. She's working on her doctorate degree, and that's what she's been doing. I've been sitting at the table there listening. You know, there's policies that are being changed. It takes time. So I think what it is the balance, the imbalance, and the general counsel's wishes not being heard, recommendations only, and then they're not followed through. So that's why I put on my platform earlier was a secure platform for our general counsel there has to be, I think, credentials that are applied to get into the system, and and a policy developed so we use this information in a confidential way, something that protects Lummi, so it doesn't get out there in the hands that we don't want it to get into. I know we can't talk about sensitive subjects like ICW, those kind of things, or individuals' personality, or individuals. So, does it have the budget, the correct budget that it needs? That's the great thing about this, is that we have to change to adjust budgets. There was just a public hearing a few weeks ago, and a form, you know, are the programs adequate? So I don't know, that's, you know, we don't have to go to Washington, D.C. and ask for Congress's permission. You know, we should be doing it with the General Counsel, and the Council and the CDCs, and our elders. Thank you.
True leaders listen to their constituents and listen to them and follow through with their wishes. You guys, we can only recommend so you guys don't have to listen to us. That's what's wrong.
I'm not saying it's a recommendation. How do you strengthen
But
that?
that's as far as it goes.
Constitution.
Thank you. I did want to announce that we will be doing one more round of questions, and we are doing raffles, and we selected 3 winners: Irene Thomas, Carrie Russell, and Gina Wilson.
Hello, good evening. What is your plan to address homelessness and the problem with the squatters on our reservation?
I truly believe that we're better than homelessness here in our community. You know, we have too many rules and regulations to actually get an employment here at LIBC, Lummi Indian Business Council. We need to really ask us, are we truly sovereign if we have to follow the government rules and regulations? We need to free up that 150 money to employ our people so they don't have to live on the beach or live in the woods. We basically handcuff them to not do anything, and they get accustomed to that. Our leaders really need to understand we need to do something with this 150 money, this general fund money. It's our money, it's your guys' money. We need to employ these people so they have pride in themselves and their family. This should have been thought about when they first surfaced here in our community, this homelessness. No, we're waiting and waiting and waiting. Maybe we don't talk about it. Maybe they talk about it and do nothing. I don't know. You know, there needs to be a real plan, not just say we're going to have a plan. The plan is employ these people without rules and regulations. You know, do a Jobs Now program for these people. Give them a little pride on who they really are. Let them show that they have a true gift in Lummi. They're part of Lummi. They're our family. You know, they're your family. Is the council doing anything? I don't know. I don't really know. But we need to use that money. We need to fix Title 28, employ homeless people, give them the opportunity that everybody else has in this building here. I'm sorry if I'm being emotional, or I'm sorry if I'm hurting some people's feelings, but it's the truth. We have that power to change. Council has that power to change. Are they afraid of power, or do they understand what power is? I think our council is too sensitive. They're afraid to have people snap at them. You know, when I was on council, an elder told me you need to be a duck. You need to understand what a duck is. And these people were our teachers, our leaders. You know, I always remember these past council people that were sitting here 30 years ago when I first joined council. They weren't afraid of their people. They went and spoke to the people. They talked to the people. They gave us hope. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be sitting here today. I truly believe that. We sit here today because of that dollar. Does that dollar really do something for everybody? I don't think so. Council, the sitting council needs to wake up. That's why I'm running for council. I want this communication barrier broken. I don't know what they're doing. I'll give you an example. I telephoned 5 council members this past year. Not one of them returned my call. A general council member. Is it fear? I don't know. You have to ask them. They never ever return my call. I think it's fear. They're too sensitive. They need to be a leader. We need leaders on our council today. But I went overboard. My emotions are pretty high. I have a passion for our community. I have a passion for my families. And that's why I'm running for council. I want to see some change. It's easy.
What is your plan to deal with homelessness and squatters on the reservation? I think that was most of it. It's a really good question, and before I get started, I kind of want to acknowledge my people here, our people, our families. It's not us, it's not them, it's we. And I wanted to address that because when we're in these positions, you have to be humble. You have to have humility. All of us that sit here in this room, we're not better than one another. We're equal. And we need each other. So these words, us and them and they, these words are, I'm not sensitive. I've grown thick skin. But, it's just something I wanted to talk about. Because homelessness, I think of my late uncle. My late uncle, he lived on the streets in Seattle for a long time. And so does my cousin. My cousin, he lives on the streets. It's just so sad, my late grandpa, he said, "Grandson, you can come and live at my house. You can come here anytime you want to." And those are the values of our Lummi people that we have, and that those are kind of fading out. Because I really care for the ones that are homeless. And it's starting to get colder and colder outside. There's some nonprofit programs out here. My brother, one of my brothers, he's moving into one of the homes at Stepping Stones. Stepping Stones, I'm so thankful and grateful for Stepping Stones because there's a lot of success coming out of there. And it's not to say they're not doing anything because that's not correct. And I really want to do better. LIBC, we can do better. We can. And if it's, I really want to do something this year and to support our homelessness homes and the squatters on the reservation. The squatters on the reservation, we've created a task force. We've created a task force to address the issue of the squatters on the Lummi Nation. If you drive around the reservation right now and you see all these campers, you see all these broke down RVs, these are some of them, they're not Lummi members. They're non-tribals and they're not Lummi. So it's one of the things that we're doing is that we're strengthening our codes, strengthening our laws. And some of the things that this comes from is our opioid epidemic, the public health crisis that we have here, and that's a whole nother thing. Thank you, Hachka.
Hi, my name is Charlie Wilson. I'm fortunate enough to have a really good job. It has nothing to do with traveling, commercial fishing, or the casino. I work for an electrical contractor who happens to work at Code 66. So my question is, it seems like the private line is to do what they can to shut down, contain, or from my perspective, eliminate jobs at Code 66. So really what we're talking about is my job. So I want to know how you feel about letting refineries do what they do, or we just rather than be the bad guys that you want to shut down.
Is the question?
They're shutting down refineries because that's going to eliminate your job because you work for Philip 66?
I just want to know, like, it seems like the private line is that anything to do with refineries is bad for the tribe. You want to, like, contain it, shut it down, not let them do anything with the census, like expansion, whatever, to create jobs. So I just want to know what your position is, what you feel the tribe's position is going forward.
Yeah.
Can you come up here? The microphone doesn't reach back there. I'm sorry. Sorry.
One more time.
The LIBC's question. These are candidates. The question doesn't belong.
Hi. Once again, I'm not really, I just want to know what your position is for what I perceive the tribe's position is towards the refineries. What I said was I'm not a commercial fisherman, although I have for many years, but for me, it's not my thing. I'm not a traveler. I don't rely on a casino for my income. I work for a contractor that does work at Gulf 66 and the other refineries for that matter. So what I read and what I see is the tribe's position as a whole seems to be to curtail, shut down the refineries, limit their ability to expand within the fences, therefore shut down jobs, possibly my job. So I just kind of want to know what your position is, how you feel about it. Are you going to work for my job as well, or just the travelers, just the people at the casino, the people who rely on the travel, whatever? Because I'm a private sector employee. I don't rely on anybody. I went to BTC on a scholarship from the Lumbee tribe and ConocoPhillips. So somewhere along the lines, you supported this type of work, but it doesn't seem like anymore. So where are you? You heard that time? I can see my leaders.
Thank you for that question. It's a pretty difficult question to answer and the fact that not one individual can change tribal law and tribal codes. But you know, one of the main positions that Lummi has always had is we've never been anti-jobs. We've been, you know, we do development ourselves. We do, you know, we build things. As far as the refineries go, that would have to take, you know, all of council and all of the nation to reverse some of those laws. You know, I'm not naive. I drive a gas-powered vehicle, so you know, I definitely thank you for, you know, working at the refinery that produces that. But I'm also an environmentalist, and if we can have cleaner power, I'm all for that. If we can reverse some of the climate changing gases, then I'm all for that. But the rest of that is just going to take the rest of the tribe and the rest of council to basically change the way the law is written. Ice cream.
I don't want to say what Turtle's saying, but you know, that is true to the fact that, you know, we are stewards of our environment. And so some of the things that happened in the past with preventing some of the coal trains going through, that was endangering our environment, and that wasn't trying to reduce the job opportunities, because, you know, we have to think about the future and the surrounding environments for our children. But I know that what you were talking about, we do have a partnership with the refineries, and we do have a scholarship that sends people, and there are a lot of families that rely on the jobs at the refineries. So if we could find the balance between increasing the efficiency and the pollution that happens there, and there's so much technology today that I know we would be at the table if the refineries were bringing forward ideas to reduce the pollution in our environment, and that we would be at the table to help train our tribal members and provide those career pathways to those jobs, because you're able to make a livelihood out of that. You're able to grow a retirement out of that. And a lot of our families don't have those opportunities with the jobs that, especially the fishermen. But that's what I was talking about with the partnership with the outside employers. The refineries are a viable job source for our people. But the other thing that goes along with that is, like, we have to prepare our children for those jobs. And there is the technology that's happening with creating these cleaner emissions and things like that, but we are kind of behind the times with creating career pathways for our younger generation. So, you know, with that said, I support the refineries and creating job opportunities for our tribal members, but I know that I definitely would be at the table with them if they were going to create a cleaner environment so that we can sustain our natural resources and don't endanger that. Thank you.
Break.
I'm back. So Troy got selected and I got selected, but I'm going to ask the question for Troy. So, and I also messaged every single one of you a petition, and thank you, Kathy, for signing. So, the question is what is your definition of inherent rights, acquired rights, and sovereignty?
Wow, that's a good question. Oh, man, I gotta sit down. So, I think sovereignty for me is, you know, we're a government, you know, but we also have our trustees. So we're kind of a government within a government. I think for sovereignty, we have our own judicial system, we have our own court system, we have our schools, we have our clinic, we have all these different things that we govern, and we talk about our codes, and with our codes, that's what governs us. We have the Constitution, which we as council members, have to abide by. So all these different things, I think that, what sovereignty really means to me is we're our own people, and, after signing the treaty, the treaty was is a binding contract with the federal government, which gives us, we didn't have to, even though our people suffered, I think, they did suffer, but I think with, they didn't go to war, and with that treaty, that's the law of the land. So we as tribal or as council members, we're the ones that kind of, make sure that we could, have the federal government held accountable, our trustees, hold them accountable for everything that we, as council members, drive for our communities. Dang, I should have wrote it down. So our inherent right, I think, is for us is what we did pre-treaty. So those are the things that, I think that we, for example, our Siouan, the way that our culture, I talk to a lot of people about culture, and Native Americans are very strong on culture, and we keep, I've asked a few guys, non-natives, what's your culture? And they try to explain to me that it's their religion, but that's not their culture. The culture is who we are as people and what we did pre-treaty, and I think that's just we as cultural people know that, and we keep driving with that. We're bringing our language back, we're bringing things back to our community and outside community, understanding who we are as people pre-treaty. So, thank you.
So our inherent rights, that's exactly what Johnny said is what we had, but inherent rights are what we're born with, and it's something that can never be taken away from us. So we did fight for our treaty rights, signing the Point Elliott Treaty of 1855. Our ancestors got in a canoe, and we were well represented down at that treaty signing, and the one thing that we made sure of is that we would always have our fish, and that's one of the main things that that we fight for today is, because of our ancestors, they fought really hard for our rights, and so we have to carry on that work. And so from those rights, we are a sovereign nation. We are just like France, we're just like Canada, we're our own country in this little area. And so therefore we have the rights to govern ourselves, and we have the right to have government-to-government consultations. And so I think that's something that we really need to work on these days, because I think a lot of people have forgotten. I think we have forgotten, that we've lost trust in ourselves, that we're able to govern ourselves, that, we don't have to follow, the state, that they have this paternalistic thinking that they know what's better for us. But we are, our own people know what's better for us and what we need to do. So we've got to think we can't just keep going with the norm and accept things, because it's getting us into the situation that we're in right now. We allow them to dictate what we're doing get us in these processes where our treaty rights are getting watered down. And so, we have to remember that. We have to remember that we are a sovereign nation and we need to act like it. Like I said, there's just a lack of, there's a fear, there's a lack of focus and dedication to learn. It's really hard when we're in meetings and there's just no focus. So we wonder why we're in the situation that we're in. And so, we need to act like a sovereign nation. We need to stand up and be the strong people that, our ancestors, made us be. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, this is going to be great. I can appreciate and I love my cousin Tim for his passion and love for his people and his history and his experience, because that's where my heart is. It's not about Jenny. It's about what's going on in their community. For example, my dear, there's 4 RVs sitting on my dad's property, all family members, that are considered homeless. So these are the kind of issues that I hear on a daily basis. The way our people are treated over at the casino. My dad said that when the casino opened down there, you better respect my people. And that's not going on today. People scratching and scraping to try to make a living. Mama's having to work and worry about getting their babysitters. This is where my passion comes from. And it comes from the history of how much our people fought to what we have today, and be realistic to remember what they've done, why we have all of this, why we have the clinic and the school, why we have this beautiful building. It's because they set the stage for what we have. And my dear cousin, we need to be fighters. It's not easy street. We're losing out. I think you see things kind of crumbling away. People being forgotten about. And I'm saying this from my heart because I do love each and every one of you with all my heart. But I love our people more. And it's not family, family, family. We're one big, huge family. That's why when one gets hurt, I get hurt. When one cries, I cry. That says we're one big family. And I want to know if you guys have this kind of passion in your heart to stand up together and fight for what needs to be done. These trailers, RVs, those guys are homeless. 4 RVs on my dad's property. Let's get real. Let's look at it. We're homeless people on one is right in my yard. And he's living off of handouts. My dad called it doling out. Keep them needy and you have control. This has got to change from just like pushing them off to the side and not thinking about them. We're not uplifting them. There's so much going on, you guys, and I hear it all. My heart is breaking. I want somebody to listen. And as far as listening, I told you, a good leader listens to their constituents. And when he goes forward and accomplishes what these constituents want, that empowers him, and he can say, I'm a good leader. And his constituents believe in him. But if you're going to just be in here, oh yeah, here, we'll try to look into it. And that's as far as it goes. We want to see action. We want to feel like we're cared about. And I'm not talking for me, I'm talking because I can take care of Ginny. I'm talking about the people that come and cry to me when they get beat up in the jails, locked up in solitary. A couple gets in an argument and has their kids taken away. And his mother's heart's breaking, and then she ends up overdosing. 7 children being orphaned. You guys, let's look at the reality of what's going on in this community. Let's not dwell in our little happy little life that we got. There's people hurting. Open up your eyes and look. And if you're going to be a good leader, will you devote yourself to this? I can respect some of the things that I'm hearing here, and you got my vote because I see your passion and your love and your wanting to do something. You know, I really don't have a question, and I'm sorry. I do love each and every one of you. I do. But I love my people more. And that's what I want to see in this council. It can't be about yourself. My dad lived a humble life. He struggled and made ends meet. He gave away more than he ever made. But he lived for his people. And he died for his people. And I'm not boasting. I'm talking what a real leader is. He went up against the United States government for his people. Why do you think we got that tribal center over there, the old one? Because they were going to sell it. And my dad went out and said, no way. It's a law that you have to give that land back to us. So many things. We've got history. All of you have got teachers, our elders that taught us what was going on during that time when they were fighting for what we have today, you guys. We've got to get back to that way of thinking. This is not a show. Serious things are happening. And we've got to protect the future of our children. Resources. It's serious. And I hope I just instilled maybe some thoughts, because I'm talking for many, many people that's come to me and shared their hearts and their despair. And that's where this is coming from. God put me in a good position. I work over the clinic and I see our community all day long. And my heart's strong enough to take and sit and listen and comfort. And that's why I'm here, to stand up for them. And we all need to be like that. We all need to come together and be strong. Say, no more. Come on, let's speak up and say, hey, this is wrong. Can't go on like this. We've got to change things. And if we don't say it, it'll never change. If we sit back and condone, oh, well, so I guess, nothing is going to happen. if we don't start standing up and saying the truth. It's just like I said about this opioid thing that's going on. If us elders don't get up and start saying, no more, start turning in our family members, start telling people, no more, I'm tired of this. Instead of just sitting there feeling bad for each other, we've got to stand up and fight and say no more. And there's got to be something done to address these situations when families are losing family and people are retreating to selling drugs so they can support their children because nobody gives them a job. Veterans suffering from PTSD and there's no help for them. These are the things that we need to be looking at. Fishing is going to be there. You're all fishermen. We need people that want to stand up and fight for the people and listen to them. If we're going to have a sick community, you guys are going to have, your community isn't going to be strong enough to support you in anything you do. If you do right for the community, the whole community will be behind you. Make you stronger. Make you proud and feel good and want to go out there and fight more for us. I'm speaking from the heart, you guys. I have no questions for you because I listened to your hearts and your spirit and I've heard enough. And I want you to continue to fight for our people. That's all I want. And that's all I'm here. And I'm glad I came tonight. And I can speak for you out there in the community, the ones that I heard, Seattle. Again, I love you with all my heart. Thank you.
Okay, the next person, this is the last round of questions, and then each candidate will get 2 minutes to do a rebuttal or just kind of share anything that they didn't get a chance to respond to tonight. Each of these questions was randomly generated. We did a random number generator for everybody who signed in. So as we draw a number, we ask the person to ask a question. They can either choose to ask their own question or one of the questions submitted by community members over the last several weeks. So that's where all the questions are coming from. If they're reading from a piece of paper, they either wrote it or it was submitted by a community member.
What will your 3 top priorities be if you are on council next year?
Thank you. Well, one of the first things that I thought of, and I put it on Facebook when I first come out, what I was running for, and one of them was elder homes. You know, I deliver wood to the elders. I cut wood for the elders, and going into some of the elders' homes, you can literally almost walk through the floor, fall through the floor. And that really hurt my feelings. I grew up in an old home that my grandparents, my uncles built. And so I know what it's like to be cold. I know what it's like to be homeless too. But that's one of the things I want to help with is the elder homes. And one of the things I spoke on too on that post was land issues. Because it's so hard to get land. It's so hard to get your land straightened out. And it seems to be getting harder and harder and harder. And another thing is wellness. You know, I spoke on the wraparound programs. I really, I know how hard it is for personally, from my experience, for a person to go to treatment. As an addict, will find any reason not to want to go. And I've known so many addicts that didn't have nothing. And we've come together and did a wraparound and got them what they needed to go, whether it was just shampoo or sweats and a t-shirt, because so many people struggle, you know, but I have a lot of things I really want to help with. Empowering our people is one of the biggest things. Allowing them to feel good about walking through the door and receiving help from wherever it may be, whether it's the care office, whether it's commodities, whether it's LIBC. I want to make our people feel worthy, because they are. They are worthy. They're worth somebody. My cousin told me God don't make junk, you know, and you're worth something. Ocean.
Thank you. 3 top priorities if elected to council. One of the priorities one of the things that I'd really like to look at, and for the sitting council to look at, would be an audit or examination of all the programs and services that the tribe provides, and make sure that the general council is being heard, their concerns are being brought forward. And we're missing that piece with a good communication plan, I believe. It's really, really disheartening to air all of our issues out on Facebook. I don't believe that's the area that we should be doing that. I think we should be able to come into a setting to be able to do that. So also, I know that each year the council sets priorities. I've been to maybe, I think it was 6 council priority sessions during that 2010 to 2016. Once you start in that process, there's a lot of things get put up there that are priorities, but you really got to drill down and see what the needs are and how to address them and how to plan for the future. You know, what's our age demographics? What's our job demographics? We used to have a statistics office, I believe years ago. I think Tim Blue too was doing that, collecting important information about who we are, what we need, and how we can move forward into the future. But I don't think I would just have 3 top priorities. I think I would try to find a way to wrap them in, wrap around, I guess, and try to move them forward. There's lots of priorities. I couldn't just say I could have 3.
Is this for everybody, Julie?
My question for position J is, how do you feel about changing the Constitution to give power back to the GC, the people? Or what do you feel is the answer for the council to listen to the people? And are there any other issues with the Constitution that you feel need to be changed to better serve the needs of the people?
First of all, I need to stand up and thank our elder for a public spanking. Not long ago, growing up when I was young, elders stood up and did this to us for a reason, for a purpose, to remind us who we are as Lactamish people, family. And a lot of times they're afraid to do this today because they have feelings today more than they did 40 years ago. We understood what an elder was and what they spoke about. And I want to thank you for publicly spanking us. It's important to me. I don't know about, I'm not speaking for the people sitting here, but it brings back memories when Grandma Sadie, Grandma Aurelia spoke to us, why they spoke to us that way. But the Constitution, it was a cookie-cutter Constitution from the federal government. For some reason, Council, I'm going to blame Council. I'm not going to blame General Council. Council is afraid to change. They're afraid to go into the cultural way of life. Who is the true leaders in our community? Who are the leaders in our family? We adopted this Constitution because it was shoved down our throat. And we can change it. One year we spent $250,000 to change the Constitution. There was only one council member that voted to change it. The 10 of the other ones didn't vote. What's the fear? Is it fear of the power of council? Do they really have power? I don't think so. We elect them to be our voice. Just like we do a ceremony, whenever a family does a ceremony, we hire somebody to be a voice for us when we do something in our families. We need to change it. We need to start that healing process. That change of the Constitution would heal us as Lactamish people. I don't know if our people know when this Constitution was applied to us. This council that's sitting here should know when it was applied to us. If not, they better start investigating. Why was it that Indian Reorganization Act applied to us? Why do we do docket 110 every year? I'm hoping these council members know why we do docket 10 every year, refusing that money because we're sovereign. But I truly believe council stops the change of the Constitution. That's my view, my thought. They just need to... Our council's divided. We all know that. They don't work together. I'm sorry, but you know, it's the truth. They can't sit down and work together even if they get paid. He speaks of humility. Where's humility when there's a divided council?
How do you feel about changing the Constitution? And any recommendations to change the Constitution? To change the Constitution, it takes a lot. And it's, right now it's really controversial in the things that we want to change. The suggestions that are coming forward, that are being asked, that's serious. These are serious things, and I think Kwathi Lamont is a very good question. Thank you for asking. The Constitution and bylaws of the Lummi tribe, of the Lummi reservation, is our Constitution. It's our governing document that we have here. And just to mention some of the things that are being sent forward to, for consideration, there is a Constitution Review Board. And every year we're working hard with the Constitution Review Board. But I'm going to kind of bring up some of the, maybe one or two of the recommendations that are coming forward. to be a member of the Lummi Nation, you need to be at least 1/4 Lummi. And one of the things that are coming forward is to maybe somehow, it's like a pedigree, right? Where it's like animals, it's like dogs. And we're not dogs, we're not horses. And so to address this issue, I think this is one of the issues that we need to address, is the 1/4 blood. Because 1/4 blood, so if my daughter's children, if it's not another Lummi child, or with another Lummi, we're depleting ourselves. We're wiping ourselves out. And the late Randy Kinley, he said, we need to do something about that. If we can see it right now, we need to do something about it. So I really believe, changing the Constitution, it takes a lot. And it needs to be everybody united, coming together and making this change if this is what we want to do. And I want to thank you all once again. Hajka, thank you.
I have so many questions. Sorry, my voice is going to shake because I don't do well in front of people. I will get to my question. These are some of the questions, but not the question that go through my mind often. How do you feel about having non-Lummies working right in council ops? We don't even let non-Lummies go to our council meetings. But yet we have that. Why do we not have a COLA raise written into our budget? I have a college degree and my check's getting smaller because taxes and medical's going up. I haven't had a raise since I've worked here because there's no COLA raise. Not even a COLA. Qualifications. You can't get hired as a receptionist here without having proof of your qualifications. What are people's qualifications for council? We ask that. Education, experience, community. What have you done for the community? Community service, accomplishments. But this is my main question, and everyone who works with me and everyone I talk to, they know it. They see it all over my face. I ask questions, I don't get answers. I ask questions. People that I work with say, oh, this, and they tell me this, and they tell me that. I'm like, how do you know that? Facebook. Every single time it's Facebook. I work here, and I don't know. I look for the answers. I can't find them. Facebook. I actually make notes on my phone, but I'm technology challenged. I know my parents aren't on Facebook. I'm not the only one that doesn't know how to work Facebook. But yet that's the only place that people find answers? How will you, if elected, communicate with people who aren't on Facebook?
This last year or so, we've been working on trying to figure out the communication issue. The treasurer has been having coffee talk in the lobby in the afternoon and in the evenings. I understand that there's always a time challenge with that. I was speaking with Julie about this probably about a month ago. It's about a month ago is trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I personally had stopped using my Facebook as much as I had in the past, only because it's quite a bit of drama, to be honest. And I don't need that in my life. I need to work and focus on what I do here. So I understand the frustration with it only being on Facebook. There's always the squall qual, Stangeswatch, but as fast as the internet goes, those can be outdated very quickly. And I understand that there are some of those challenges, and I think that we definitely should be looking at that a lot closer. Maybe having scheduled communication times with everyone. So, maybe it's always on a Friday, maybe it's always on a Wednesday. It would have to be something that everyone can plan for instead of just showing up.
Thank you for those questions, Sally. Can I answer all the other ones first? I had answers for all of those questions. Over the years, I just keep seeing the barriers of communication, then the gap getting larger and larger, because you're right, a lot of folks don't do technology. And I don't know how frequent we get to share things on the television. A lot of tribes have their own TV station. And so I'm really in support of that. The other thing that I noticed that went away was we used to have meetings outside of the council meetings with all of the departments, the directors, the commissions. They had to share with their community what they were doing for you. And we don't do that because it's a budget issue. We don't put it in the budget. And so, those are one of the things that I want to support doing again. Bring those opportunities back, because it not only provides an opportunity to communicate, it provides a better venue for our people to come together again and enjoy one another's companies, just to be together. We don't focus on that. We wait until things are, something bad's happening, instead of getting together to celebrate and share our accomplishments or share our challenges and our barriers, so that they can help give ideas back, so that can help you work through them. So I'm really in support of bringing those kinds of opportunities back to the people. And the other thing is that we gotta stop being bankers hours. Everything's operated from 8 to 4:30. Everybody that's working for a living, they can't stop and get away from work to come hear what the council's doing. We need to start going back to the old ways and have council meetings after hours or on the weekends so the community can go. I just don't understand why we're starting to operate 8 to 4:30. Our lives aren't like that. I'm a single mom. I hardly get to go to anything either, because if I'm taking care of my little guy, he's 7 now, he does all kinds of things. And so I think it's really important that we start expanding and budgeting for those different opportunities and communication venues so that we can reach the public and all the community. Perfect timing, thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for your answers tonight to all these really tough questions. I've heard a lot about Constitution, which I completely agree is really important. When I watch our council and our progress for our community, I am more and more concerned that we have new council every single year, new officers every single year.
So for the last 2 months, there's been no work because everybody's campaigning. And then we vote people in, and there's no work because they're trying to figure out their new jobs for 3 months. So we get 6 months of good work, hopefully, out of our council each year. So if I could change the Constitution, I would change that we have officers for 3 years so that we can depend on getting some work done. For our community is in a health crisis. And I feel really passionate about that because I have a 5-year-old grandson that I want something better for him. I don't want him to grow up in our community with a drug epidemic. I don't want him to worry about whether or not he's going to have a home or a place to put a home. We're losing our youth. Our youth are depressed. Our youth have anxiety. They're experiencing suicide ideation, and we're experiencing youth suicides. Our youth are our future. So what will you do? How can you help us advance our community wellness?
Thanks for that question. It's a very good question. It's a very tough question, but I think that, I've been part of the law and justice, and what I believe in, and if it's the epidemic or to what we're talking about, I think there's just so many different avenues, and I think that the council has been doing some certain things to try to help with the epidemic. But to be honest, as a council member, I say we do as much, way more. I mean, there's more things that we could do because we're a sovereign nation. When we talk about sovereignty, we can do a lot more things to clean up our reservation, to make it much difficult. There's just so many different things, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I've been, I was raised. I've never drank. I never did drugs. My family's surrounding me. My whole family has been drug addicts, alcoholics. That's my immediate family, and I'm not ashamed of it because it made me the person I am today. And I'm very passionate about certain things, about the drug epidemic that we have, and I think there's a lot more that council can do, and there's a lot more of myself that I can do as an individual. People know me. I did certain things. I would actually say I'm actually proud of. I've gotten fights with drug dealers. I put myself in harm's way. I've went to drug dealers' houses and knocked on their doors and threatened them as a person because I don't want my family members growing up that way. I don't want my grandsons, my daughters, my son, and it's just, it's this right here is one of those kind of things that really touches me very, very strong. It's an epidemic that we have, and I think council can do a lot more. And as individuals, we all could do more. As community members, we could do a lot more for our own families. If it's being straightforward and telling them and being direct and say, hey, I love you, and this is going to have to stop. There's things that we could do as individuals. And people think that council is the solution. We aren't. I think it's the families. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. We have a lot of programs. We have a lot of help out here for our people. But I think the main thing is the kick in the ass. Is the kick in the ass of getting, hey, I love you. There's these things that we have to do for our community members or for our families that we have to do. So I say that there is a lot that I could do, but there's also a lot that our community could do as well too. So, if I get back on, that's one of my things I've been really pushing on. I've got a lot of ideas that we could do. We still need to get our drug dog. We still haven't got our drug dog. And, it's in the works. We have a new police department, new chief of police. He's doing what he can, but we got to expect more. But also with the courts as well. The courts, that's why I believe in that restorative justice factor, is that throwing them in jail doesn't work. Throwing them in jail actually helps them be a better criminal. So, sorry. Thank you.
So the drugs, whether it's drugs, alcohol, those are symptoms. I know that we've been historical trauma that's happened needs to be dealt with. We got to get to the core issues, and also, I think, I know it's been brought up, like Randy Kenley Sr. has been brought up a few times tonight, because he was such an impactful person in the community that he really cared for our people. And he believed that, if we try to make sure that we practice our shillangin and get back to who we are. And so he created programs through natural resources, where we go into the schools and we, teach our children how to fish. We teach them how to plant the ironwood and to cook the fish, to try to get that instilled back in them. We had the boarding schools and the residential schools, and that was trauma, and that trauma has been passed down to us. And so I really commend the Lummi Nation School for teaching our children our language and our culture. My little grandnephew, he's been learning the culture, and he's been leading, and he's 5 years old. And that's something that he's doing that, he talked about, we asked him if he was, like maybe he could teach us some songs. The sad part about that is, and he said, to his uncle, he said, I'm on my journey. You have to be on your journey. And so, we do have a lot of programs. I was also involved in the Indigenous Games, and I know that sports, I do commend, I know there's been controversy about the baseball fields, but there's other sports too, to give the kids, a reason to, learn discipline, learn leadership, know that opportunities they can make opportunities for themselves. So I think it has to start inside to address some of these issues. But we do, last thing I'll say is, something that can help us 24 hours a day when our people want help. A detox center where they can go to when they're ready for that help, not have to wait. So that's something immediately that I think that we should prioritize. So thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give each of the candidates 2 minutes to share a little bit, answer any questions or anything they heard that they'd like to respond to, and then we will do the final door prizes. Please follow the 2 minutes.
And I need to use the bathroom. So, one thing that I want to bring up, there's so many issues. Our people are dying. So how can you compare, one apples to oranges? How can we need to figure out that we need to save our people. And I don't have those. I don't have the magic answer. But we definitely have to make it a priority. And something that was said about succession plans, of our people, well, they say that we have to have succession plans, but they don't put any support or funding. So, it's really hard. We reach out in natural resources and we identify people through the process, but then we've got no job to offer them. So it's really hard. There's a gap there, and it's something that we really need to look at. That, you know, I've had to go through the system and there was no job for me, and if it wasn't for my persistency, then I would not have a job. And so, you know, it's hard for our people, but to identify where those gaps are and make sure that we have the support that they need. And so I am dedicated, I am focused, I have the full time and the passion to do what I need to do to be on council. I don't take it for granted. Nobody should take it for granted. It's, you know, a lot of people that we're in charge of, and it's not a joke, and we need to work together. That's the thing, is we need to work together. You know, leave your egos at the door. It's principles before personalities, and, you know, let's do the work. We need to do the work. So, thank you.
Okay, I forgot to acknowledge my children. I got Caitlin, my oldest, Mariana, Bo, and Carmen, and my two grandsons, Caden and Killian. You know, so when I think a lot of things, I think for everybody up here, you know, we want to look back and we serve our people for a reason. I mean, it's the passion that we have for our grandkids, but it's the passion that we have for our people. You know, to be able to put our name in a hat and for our community to acknowledge us, to help or to lead the tribe in a good way. I mean, as being a commercial fisherman, I've been lucky to be a commercial fisherman. You know, and it's you know, I work very hard at what I do, you know, I think I have those leadership skills all the way back from high school. You know, I've been excelled in sports, but I also did very well in school. I didn't, you know, sorry to say, I didn't go to college, and I wish I did. You know, because it probably would have made me a more rounded person. My vocabulary is more like a fisherman. But guess what? I also talk like one. When I come to you know, being, like Lisa said, in that forefront, talking about you know, talking to other leaders, you know, and you got to be able to stand up and put them on check. You know, because I know where Lummi's at. I know who I am, and I know that the strong leaders that come behind us, we have some big shoes to fill, and. You know, this year I've been very passionate on a lot of things that had to do with fishing, and had to go to bat when we had to go talk to the other tribes. I mean, you're talking, you know, the 7 other tribes that we had to talk to. But, okay. Thank you very much. I usually stop when that buzzer goes off, so.
Always pushing it. Never too late to go back to school. Lifelong learner. I just wanted to say hi to everyone here tonight for sticking it out, and I really appreciate your questions and your heartfelt thoughts, Jimmy. One of the things that I kept thinking about when I was hearing some of the issues, you know, we have so many opportunities to create, and there's successful models out there. One of the things that we don't do that we could do is the permanent supportive housing model. And it's kind of like the Chelangen, but it's not, because the people, you can still create build an apartment building where folks that are challenging with drugs, they don't have to be UA'd and they don't be kicked out. They're not kicked out when they do not pass a UA. What you do is you start doing the wraparound services for them. And you just do interventions so that someday, one day on their own time, they're going to get well, and they're going to do it themselves. And I tried to talk to our head of housing about that. They do that out on Macaw. And I was like, why don't we do that? You know, and the other thing is we talk about we need to be able to build homes on our own land so everyone doesn't have to go through HUD housing. Back in the day, I remember when my grandpa Arthur's house, they used to come together and build their own homes on their own property. And so we need to start going back there and giving the people the opportunity to learn the trade so they can build their own home. And that we don't have a barrier with the number of permits you need to build on your own land. So those are some of the things that I feel strongly about. But the other thing is too, when we talk about the drug problem with the youth, we really need to focus on prevention. And they used to have all these different grant programs that that they brought into the schools. I think for what was it, oh, now I forgot the name of it. It was so long ago. But we shouldn't have to wait for a grant to do that. We need to start doing that now with our youth. You know, and that's one of the things that that bothers me about some of the programs. We wait until they're grant funded, and that's not, the grants don't always fit our model, so we need to create that and invest in those things that we need. Thank you.
I also wanted to say thank you guys for staying, because I know it's pretty late, and then there's other activities going on in the community, like the pumpkin carving you guys could all be at with your families. I want to thank my elders in the room, and Tim. I want to thank Tim for scolding me a few times, and Jeannie, thank you. One of the things that I talked when I first ran was we're salmon people, and we're having a hard time fishing right now. And I want to thank Lisa for her work with the hatchery program, and I try to promote her work with all of the other elected officials throughout the state, the county, and the cities. Because when one time I was talking with Tim, and he was scolding me, and he said, "When's the last time you talked about this, the salmon cycle?" We don't talk about the salmon cycle that much with our community, and that's one of the things that we're all having a problem with right now. Even as tribal members, we should be living by the salmon cycle. We send our people out there to get educated and have them come back home. That's one of the things that we are failing to do. And it's one of the things that I've always liked working on, is getting our people out there fishing, hunting, and clam digging. My first year I really fought hard, and I got, with our Portage Bay partnership, I got a lot of people some help that year. And I'm a little sorry that it hasn't continued, but I want to continue to work on that. And I haven't forgotten where I come from, and I really wanted to say that I talk a lot about natural resources because I'm very passionate about it, and that's where I grew up. Thank you. Aishka.
I'm running for council because I want to continue to help our people, help our families, and our nation. It is my pleasure to serve the Lummi Nation. I'm completing my first term of 3 years on the Lummi Union Business Council. I'm working along with the other 10 LIBC members. I'm also a part of the STPO family, the STPO pod. We're working on the Sailor Sea campaign. I'm working with Raynell Zuni, Ellie Kinley, Joel James, Kurt Russo, and Julie Trimmingham. And I'm very proud to be a part of the STPO pod. If you want to see more work that we're doing, go to sacredsea.org. I'm also working on the Education Code, student scholarships, the Trespassers Task Force, youth prevention, child care, just to name a few. Education has always been one of my things. One of my things this year, I want to increase in the Lummi Nation higher ed, and also to increase in early learning. Early learning is where the children learn most of their learnings when they learn. Also, we're working on the education code, which we're about halfway complete, and also the education compact with the state. Also working with the Trespassers Task Force. Also a big advocate for youth prevention. We are increasing in services for youth prevention, like the Boys and Girls Club, the Lummi Canoe Families, Lummi Canoe Family. And I want to give a shout out to the Lummi Canoe Families, Tina Joe, Jeff James, Matt Blue, Waylon, Shasta, Jay, Cynthia, and Sue Oliver. And in closing, your voice is your vote. Your voice is your vote. Your vote is your hope. For the nation's future, LIBC can do more. We have hope for our future with a good strategy and a good plan. We can do it. When I'm reelected, we will. We can do it. Haichkasian.
Well, I need to stand. It's very humbling to be sitting here tonight, going to the community to get 25 signatures, listening to their concerns about Lummi, their families, and the more I listened, I think that we forget about our values, our true values of Lactamish people. You know, we used to practice values on a daily basis. Government changed us. When I speak of government, I mean tribal government changed us. They stopped progress. I truly believe that. You know, we can all promise you something sitting up here. Saying something and doing something is two different things. I run for this year because of my past leaders that I sat with, who talked to me about what Lummi was, what was family. And I truly believe that today we forget about our past leaders. I want to talk about our history. You know, the man we call Swatan. I hope everybody knows who Swatan is and what he did for us and why he couldn't save the majority of the Lactamish people. That's who we are as Lactamish people. Swatan. That's history. If we don't understand that history, what are we really doing? This is the history that we teach our grandchildren, our two grandboys, who they are and where they come from, and why it's important to understand what Swatan did for Lactamish. We all should do that. We all should do that in our home. We need to have the humility to say sometimes, I don't know what you're talking about. If we don't have humility, are we just like the white person, that white man in Ferndale or Ballina? So I beg this people that's sitting in front of you to understand who Lactamish is and why we're Lactamish. You know, this man Swatan, was he the creation? Was he one of the brothers? Something to think about for you young people. Who is he? What did he do for us?
Thank you. Cliff Culty, traditional name Chiliatin, also shared name Sotan with another here. I'm glad you brought that up, Tim. There's a lot of history there. Bringing back the Shawala, the reef nets, how our people lived, our traditional homelands. Thank you. What I would like to expand, or things I would like to touch on again is, you know, just not having a minimum wage, but having a livable wage. A livable wage. With built-in, or with the COLAs, cost of living adjustments, that have it built in for inflation, because we're always seeing the inflation. Cost of living is always going up. So it has to be built in the budget process. Have to have other revenue streams to do that, to grow a bigger budget. Also say time and time again that we need training and vocational opportunities. Look at the ARCO agreement, as the gentleman stated about jobs at the refineries. There's language in that ARCO agreement. Look at the intent. It's impacting our treaty rights. We're having gear loss up there due to the vessel traffic. It's taking away. It has to give back. We need affordable daycare. We need to reevaluate the policies. When people get adjustments or increases, they get over the wage and then their daycare goes up. So people say, don't give me a raise because I can't afford daycare. That has to be fixed. Bring back a statistician, gather data so plans can be created in a place so we're not reacting. Let's be proactive and plan for the future. Climate change document, we don't have one, we should have one. It's impacting all of us. It's going to impact our children, our grandchildren, next 7 generations. We need to strengthen families and empower them. There's a learning curve when you're on council. Sometimes it takes a year and a half just to get up to speed on what's going on and how you make decisions. It's not easy. There is a learning curve. We need to make sure that we're always preserving, promoting, and protecting our Chelan and Haishka.
Awesome. Steve from Son of Snap. My spiritual father, Skyx, the Sundus, were lost. Our sister, my father's sister, got up and shared with us. But he told me to pray for the words to say, like she shared with me tonight. But he always echoes his father. The old ways are going to save us. The old ways are going to save us. You know, when we get up here and open our mouth to the Spirit, it's important to follow through with what you say. So I'm always careful about what I say, because my cousin, Similano, my father, Skyux, hold me to that. So if you're going to stand up here and say you're going to do something, you open your mouth to that Spirit. So be careful, because it affects you, it affects your children, it affects your people. She had me crying right here when she talked about her once living in an RV, because my brother lives in an RV next door to me. And me and my wife make sure he eats every night. So that hit home. That hit home. I check on him every day because I lost 2 brothers to addiction. I lost my parents to alcoholism. I have 10 years sobriety, and it's with the help of programs, it's with the help of mentors, it's with the help of people that cared. Me and my wife had people come to our house at 2 in the morning, said, "Can I sleep on your couch? I don't want to get loaded tonight. I want to remain, I want to fight that good fight." I just want to help our people. I work with our people. I've helped people get sober and maintain sobriety. I help with our funerals. I help our elders. I love our people. I don't want to be a follower. I want to be a leader. And I'll work, whether I'm on council or not, I'll continue to do what I do. OCM and Haishka CM. One more thing, I'm going to say this. My father's Skyx stood on a young lady's grave and said to the men, "We need to fight for our people." He stood on a young lady's grave that overdosed and said, "We need to fight for our people." What are we going to do to make this a better place? Because they tell us she's going to a better place, but what are we doing to make this a better place?
Thank you all for coming tonight. The candidates, we'd like to give you an opportunity to express a few words tomorrow if you want to stop by our office or call ahead. to do an interview. We'd like to do it sometime before noon so we can make sure and have a chance to edit it and get it posted on at least social media, if not on Channel 2. And then we did do the drawings. The last ones that won were Elizabeth Solomon, Leo Solomon, Denise Solomon, and Doug Bob. And they were witnessed by Carrie Russell and Helen Lawrence. Thank you all.